Hello, my dear friends. I thought I'd take a minute or 10 to kind of further elucidate my perspective. Now, I explain it quite a bit in my videos, but it could always be better. Now, how we deal with life and the stressors of life and the mental issues we run into and physical issues, all these things can greatly depend on our perspective. And we are purposely kept in a lower perspective. They have us identifying with these things that are attached to the ego. They're purposefully keeping us suppressed in these lower perspectives. They don't want us to gain the higher perspectives, the higher perspectives that will free us from some of these traps. So what perspective am I looking at? And remember, we can only ever speak about things from our own perspectives and our experience. My perspective is we're just nature running off. We're just karma running off. Are we really even doing anything? If we are being the observer, then we're kind of almost on autopilot. Like, are we on autopilot? We kind of are. And remember, so from my perspective, is there something like shame? Do I feel shame about something? Is there something like guilt? Or are those things useful? Well, from my perspective, I'm trying to explain how I'm looking at it. If we're just nature running off, if we can only ever do one thing, and that's what we do, whatever happens was meant to happen because it happens. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, that I could only ever do one thing. If I got pissed drunk last night, that's the only thing I could ever do. I'll just act. That's it. I'm acting from the only place I know how to act. So, from my perspective, would there be a benefit in shame or guilt about that? No, because you're judging yourself and you're identifying with the actor. We have to be the observer. We can still say, I would like to, from whatever place we're coming from, I would like to correct this. We don't have to even exactly attach labels to anything. Why are we attaching labels? That's just going to make things harder to detach from. We want to, detachment is a big part of the awakening process, because we have to realize, stand in the center of the circle. Don't attach yourself to anything, because those are the traps. Those are the things that keep us trapped in lower mental states, emotional, spiritual, physical. They keep our perspectives trapped. So we have to practice detachment, presence, standing in the center of the circle. This is my perspective. I'm trying to stand in the center of the circle, detach myself, be the observer, the loving observer. Stay as much as possible in the eternal present moment of God's love. And through this, we can practice unconditional love on ourselves. And if we're practicing unconditional love on ourselves, which means no matter what we do, because we could only act based on our chemistry, conditioning, and level of understanding, it's okay, because we could only ever do one thing, and we're just nature running off, and we love ourselves unconditionally, and we're loved unconditionally. God loves us unconditionally. It's all unconditional love. So if we're looking at things from this perspective, which is kind of where I'm trying to kind of explain my perspective and how I see and explain things, which I've come to this conclusion through my experience, it's the only thing I could ever do, then we don't need to attach ourselves to these things that hold us into the ego and the emotions. We can only ever do one thing. Why would I be shamed or guilt or regret? Is that going to be useful? What if I love myself unconditionally? If I love myself unconditionally and say to myself, that's the only thing I could have ever done, then we can forgive ourselves instantly. We don't have to judge ourselves. We can say it's okay no matter what we're doing. I mean, again, what level are we looking at it from? At one level, you're on the physical ego level. You say, oh, I gotta fix this, do this, I gotta fit in here, do this mold, this puzzle, right? But at another level, what if we keep getting above that? We keep stepping back farther and farther from the game. we start face up in the illusion. We start with our faces glued to the illusion. Slowly, slowly, we peel ourselves back. We start to separate ourselves from the illusion slowly as we work, as we live, as we experience, as we suffer, as we gain wisdom. We separate ourselves from the illusion slowly, and our perspective starts to get higher. Maybe we start with against the illusion like this, and as we separate ourselves and gain higher and higher perspectives, we start to realize a lot of these things keep us trapped. And mental, emotional type traps, shame, accountability. On one level, we need accountability. On another level, how can we be accountable if we're just the observer and we're nature running off and we're not really in control? The more I go through this experience, the more I come to the conclusion we're not in control. Whatever's gonna happen, happens because it happens. Whatever, it was always going to be the same. We can only unfold at one level, and that's our level of chemistry, conditioning, and level of understanding. So if we're taking this perspective, what is there to be mad about? What is there to judge? What is there to hold against ourselves, right? If we're doing these things, is there even such a thing as a bad habit? Again, depends which level you're playing the game. As you keep advancing levels and peeling back from the illusion farther and farther, we start to realize that almost everything we can come up with is trying to keep us at a lower levels from a lower perspective. So this is kind of where I'm looking at things. I'm trying my best, as we all are, to peel ourselves off of the illusion and take the pieces of illusion out of us and become completely free. And to do this, presence and purification. This is how we advance. This is how we evolve. We break free from the cycles of suffering. We gain that wisdom. We break free from the illusion and the suppression and the aggravators. Slowly, it's a process. And a big part of the process is learning how not to judge ourselves and others, because a lot of that is a natural program, judging ourselves and judging others and feeling a certain way about doing certain things. They attach these things to them to keep us at a lower perspective, but we can break free from that. We don't have to judge ourselves for doing bad things. Yes, I hit a pedestrian with my car. I'm going to come up with hard examples for me to explain so I can try to explain them better. I hit a pedestrian with my car. What level are we looking at this from? Obviously, at a physical earth level, you have to take things at certain levels. And you can say, well, what are the reasons? Blah, blah, blah. There's reason for everything. It was always going to happen. Yes, that doesn't mean we can't say, all right, there's positive and negative type things. Again, what level are we looking at it? And you got to balance it and find it. But at one level, it was always going to happen, or we're out of control. If this is me observing that happening, if this is me observing that type of thing happening, then I'm trying not to think at all about it because I'm trying to be the observer. We're just nature running off. Whatever we do, whatever action we take is just nature running off. It's karma running off. It was always going to happen. So we got to stop attaching ourselves to anything. Practice detachment. Like Buddhism says, a detachment. We have to just observe. Stop getting caught up in the game. It's hard. The pull of the world, as I talk about, and I've written about many times in my Substack, Fruit Saves the World, if you're interested, the pull of the world is very strong. This game is intense and strong. It's hard. So going back to me trying to explain my perspective, which is basically what all of my videos are about, is evolving our consciousness, coming into the eternal present moment of God's love, unconditional love in the present moment, purifying the body. This is how we evolve our perspective. This is how we raise ourselves, peel ourselves away from the illusion and all the traps and the suppression and the aggravators and all these things trying to keep us in lower states of consciousness so they can use us to their advantage. And what we do is through presence and purification, we start to really rip that off. And the more we stay present, our perspective gets higher and higher until we realize we don't need to attach to anything. Everything that happens, no matter what, is just part of the cosmic play unfolding. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Thank you for joining me, my friends. I tried my best, but here we are. Here we are. Namaste.